Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum students. Welcome to our class. I'm your instructor Adil Raza and today we have to learn about an SLO from grade 6 and it's our unit 9. So let's start with the SLO. Let's find out what is the competency of the SLO and then we will read the SLO. So here is the competency. The SLO is actually about the competency of grammar and it's our lecture 1B, and the main, or we can say that the central topic of this SLO is the SLO is mainly focused on the proposition of time. So let's find out, let's read what is the SLO. The SLO states that use prepositions of position, time, movement and direction including since and for. So this SLO is also discussed in the lecture 1A, and in that lecture we have discussed what the proposition is, what are the different types of proposition, what is meant by proposition of time, proposition of movement, proposition of direction, but we don't have discussed about the since and for. So in this lecture we will focus on this part of the SLO and we will find out that what is since proposition and what is for and how they are used. They are actually the proposition of time. So let's start this SLO. I hope you guys have understand what is the SLO and which part of SLO is mainly addressed in this lecture. So let's go further. Here is the vertical linkage. I hope you have got it. So let's go further. Here we have a brainstorming session. So let's do brainstorm. And what is the prompt of the brainstorming? The brainstorming prompt said that have you ever read or written words indicating the time of something? So I hope you guys have write or read such type of words which indicate the time of something, like we can say that at 9 o'clock. So the at is actually indicating a time, and I hope you guys have read this word or use this word in your writing. So such type of words which indicate the time of something are actually considered as the proposition of time, which we have also learned in the previous lecture. So let's revise our concept and then we will go to the use of since and for, which are actually the propositions of time. So let's find out what is meant by the proposition of time. As you guys knows that proposition means the positioning words. They indicate the position of something, the position of time, the position of place or something like that. So let's find out. Proposition of time are used to describe when an event or action occurs. So actually they indicate the time of an action or an event, like in the examples, air pollution is a serious threat at present. So this is a threat in present times, not in the past or not in the future. It is the issue of today. So it's actually the at is indicating the time. That's why we can say that it is a proposition of time. In another example we can see that I will finish my work in an hour. So in is actually indicating the time frame, an hour, like one has to do his work in an hour. That's why in is a proposition of time, because it's indicating the time. So I hope you guys have understand what is meant by the proposition of time and how such type of proposition are used and indicate the time. So let's go further. Here we have to discuss about two main proposition of time, which is one of them is since and second is for. So let's find out how these two are different from others and how these two are used in writing or in the spoken language. So here we have to discuss the since and the use of for. So since and for are both propositions that are commonly used to indicate the duration of time. As I have mentioned before, they are actually belongs to the category of the proposition of time. They both indicate the time. So the proposition since, firstly we have to discuss the since in this light. Since is used to indicate a starting point in time. So because the proposition of times are indicating the time, so since is used to indicate any starting point of a action, any starting point in time on which the action was started. So it is typically used with a specific point in time or event and is followed by a verb in the past simple or present perfect tense. So since is used to indicate the time of a action when that action was started and still it is going on, or we can say that it is stopped. So let's take an example. I have been struggling since last year. So he was struggling from the last year. That's why we have to indicate a starting point of a action. And what is the action? Studying. So that's why we use the preposition since because since indicate a specific time, or sorry, we can say that this since indicate the starting point in time of an action. So the studying is an action and it was started 1 years before. That's why he used the since and said that I have been studying English since last year. So that's why this since is indicating the starting point of this action. Here is another example. She has been living in London since she graduated from university. So when she was graduated from university, from that point of time she was living in London. So that's why, because we have to tell about a starting point of something, some state, some action, that's why we use since. Like they have been married since 2010. So in 2010 they got married and we have to tell about an action. We can say that a partnership which is started in 2010. That's why we use the since, because we have to indicate the starting point, the in time of something. So I hope you guys have understand what is meant by since and how since is used in different contexts to present any starting point of a action of a thing in time. So let's go to the second thing. Now we have to discuss about for, how for is used, in which context the for is used, and what the for indicates. So let's go further. The preposition for, this slide is mainly concerned to the for. So the for is used to indicate a period of time. Since is used to indicate the starting point of a time, and for is indicating the period of a time, a certain time frame, we can say that. So the for is used to indicate a certain period of time that continues up to the present. So it indicates a time period from which till the present something is happening or something is going on. It is typically used with a duration of time and is followed by a verb in the present perfect tense. Like for example, I have been studying English for 5 years. So we have to determine a certain time, we have to determine a particular time frame, not the starting point in the time. That's why we use for instead of since. So for is used to indicate a certain period of time. Like she has been living in London for 10 years. So we don't said that she has been living in London after his graduation or since she graduated from there. We use a particular time period, the 10 years. That's why we use this preposition for, because this preposition for is used to indicate a certain period of time. So I hope you guys have understand what is for and how this preposition of for is used in language. It is actually a preposition which indicate a certain period of time, and the since is used to indicate the starting point of in time of some action or something. So I hope you guys have understand what is meant by since and what is meant by for, and why these preposition of times are used, for which purpose they are used. So use your understanding of since and for and attempt this classroom activity. Let's go further. Here we have a simulation link. This simulation link is also in the description box. You can watch this simulation. Through this simulation, you will understand the use of since and before and about the preposition in a very much better way. So let's go further. Here we have a worksheet. Kindly pause the video and attempt this worksheet according to the knowledge of the SLO. So let's go further. Here we have a homework. This homework is also concerned about your understanding of the use of since and for. So use your understanding which you have achieved from the SLO and then attempt this homework. I hope you guys find this video very helpful. There is also a resource pack which is also very assistive, or we can say that helpful to achieve your SLOs in a compact way. I hope you guys have understand the use of since and for and in which context they are used in language, in written or spoken form. If you find any issue and confusion, you can ask in comment section and ask from your teacher as well. Thank you very much. Allah Hafiz.